Listen, 90% of people do not understand what's happened with software development, and what used to take tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to develop an app now costs pennies. And today I'm on a walk with my main boy Yoda here, and I wanted to explain an app that I put together just in the past week. It just did not take me that much time, and it's still glitchy, it still needs some work, but I was able to leverage AI and specifically a tool called Replit combined with some other tools, some API integrations. I'm going to walk you through everything today in this video, and if you like it, smash like and leave comments, whatever. But I was able to, within the course of a week, build out my own software, and it's just, I don't think people have fully understood what's happened. And there's so many companies out there that are building apps and selling services for extraordinary amounts and raising capital for extraordinary amounts. But what people don't fully realize is that you're able to reduce your cost tremendously by building in-house apps. There's probably a lot of apps that you're using in-house right now that cost you a lot of money. I mean, I just got off a call with a company that does LinkedIn DMing at scale, and they want to charge $2,500 to $5,000 a month. And I'm like, we could just build an app in-house for that, to be honest. But a lot of these apps in-house either are very expensive or they don't offer key features that you need specifically for your business, and you could build them out using Replit. So in this video, I'm just going to kind of break down what I was able to build. Someone who is just overall pretty smart guy, humbly pretty smart, not overly intelligent, but I'm a pretty smart guy. I have no software coding experience, but I'm curious, and I love to build, and I love to create, and I just love to build things. So again, I'm going to briefly explain this app that I put together. So it's called WordLion. You can test it out yourself at wordlion.ai, and it was inspired by my daughter. My daughter wanted to go on a field trip, and I wasn't really sure how I felt about it. And I said, listen, if you read this book, I will, if you read this book and you get a passing grade with ChatGPT, I'm going to take a picture of your report. You need to write a report. I'm going to take a picture of the report. I'm going to upload it to ChatGPT. And if ChatGPT gives you a passing grade, then you can go on the field trip. And she said, bet, I'm in. She started reading this book. She finished it in about 2 weeks. It's called The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Pretty famous book. Disney made a movie on it. Anyway, big book. Very popular book. And quite frankly, kids her age, most kids, they don't read. Literacy rates are are garbage. And I don't want that for my kids. I want my kids to be readers, A. And B, I want them to be literate and have a worldview that's founded in Christianity because, well, I'm a Christian. So anyway, she read the book, wrote the report. ChatGPT gave her a B+. I actually gave her an A-, and she was stoked. She got an A on her book report. It gave her a ton of feedback: reading comprehension, pronunciation, sentence structure, ideas of characters. And in my case, I wanted to make sure that she was pulling from it Christian ideas and examples, and it did all of that. And after it was done, it gave her very specific feedback on how to improve and what to do better, what it liked, etc. It was tremendous. She was overjoyed. She got to go on the trip, and now she's read a book, and she got a reward. And I can't take all the credit for this idea. I got this idea also from Patrick Bet-David, who's a very wealthy consultant, coach, basically a sales coach, very, very, you've probably heard of him before, Patrick Bet-David. Look him up if you haven't. Anyway, he's very wealthy. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he says, I want to keep my kids humble. I don't just give my kids things for free. If my kids want something, they have to earn it. And how do they earn it? By reading books. So I combined that idea of reading for a reward. Keep kids motivated to read, because readers are leaders. Readers are leaders, right? Rich people read, poor people scroll. And I want my kids to be leaders. I want them to be wealthy. So I did that. So anyway, she was stoked. She's very excited about it. And I said, well, why can't I turn this into an app? Why can't I scale this out? Why is this not something that can't help millions of children and millions of parents raise kids the right way and get their kids reading? Why can we not motivate them? So I'm going to kind of go through the steps in developing this app that I took. And if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below or reach out to me, whatever. Or don't, just go ahead and get it yourself. Ask ChatGPT. So, okay, so I started by basically going to ChatGPT and telling it my idea. And I said, I want you to help me develop a business plan. Here's what my idea is. And then I specifically prompted it by saying, I want you to break down my idea like Steve Jobs would, and I want you to ask me questions one at a time. And it just started breaking down all these questions like, what's your unique selling proposition? Who's your target reader? What do you need for a minimum viable product? Asked me a bunch of questions. Went ahead and said, okay, this looks great. And I said, give me a 3-sentence description and prompt so that I can send it, so I can do some deep research. Once I got that, I went over to Grok and I typed in exactly how it prompted me with the 3 sentences and went to Grok and I clicked the deep research button on the Grok chat and it went to town and it started researching database, came back with statistics, market cap, growth opportunities, threats, education data, literacy levels, all this stuff, just pages, I think it was like 25 pages worth of notes and data and deep research. Took all that, went back to ChatGPT and said, okay, now let's put together the business plan. I want you to put together the business plan, base it off of what you know about what we're trying to do, and base it off of the data here from the deep research. Built out the entire business plan. I made some tweaks. I made some adjustments using the Canvas tool. In the Canvas tool, you can make some tweaks. Took all of that and I said, I want you to build me out a robust, comprehensive prompt because I'm going to, for Replit, I'm going to build this idea into an app. Wrote up the whole prompt. I cleaned it up a little bit. I go over to Replit, replit.ai, which is essentially a software developing tool for people that don't know how to code. Coding's, you just basically you tell it what you want it to do, and it'll write the code on the back end. So people that don't have JavaScript, CSS, HTML, they don't know how to code, this is exactly what you want. And if you're a business owner, this is very helpful because again, you can build your own in-house software. It goes ahead and I fill in the prompt, I fill in, I attach I copy and paste the business plan, I copy and paste key product features, and I say go. And I walk away. I come back about 10, 15 minutes later, maybe 20 minutes later, come back a little bit later. Let's go ahead and turn around, it's a little loud over there. Come back a few minutes later and it's up. The app is up. And over the course of the next week, spending a few hours here and there, or maybe during, while I'm working, I'll keep testing it, poking around inside the app, asking it to tweak things. A little bit of a learning curve there. One of the challenges with this app is that there's a front-end landing page, which then brings you into the login page. But the thing that kind of is challenging, I'm still trying to really sort out, is that the person that's purchasing it is not the user, right? Because the parent is the one that's purchasing, but then they have a child account. So just kind of trying to figure out how the architecture of the software works together and looking at other softwares and going back and forth with ChatGPT and with Replit, because Replit has a chatbot built in, kind of figuring out how the database works, all that kind of going back and forth was a little bit tricky, but over the course of, we'll call it 30 hours, spending some time back and forth, we've got a usable app. And now I've given it to a few friends to test. Again, you can try it out too at wordlion.ai. wordlion.ai. You might need to put the www in front of it. www.wordlion.ai. Okay, so the other things that I think are important is, as Replit was putting it together, it also notified me that there's some things that I need to do. There's some APIs that it needs. So it needs the API for my OpenAI account. It needs the API for Stripe. It needs the API for my email service using SendGrid for email. It put it all together, guys. It put it all together. And you know, my goal with this project is to help millions of kids grow in Christ and growing in literacy and becoming free thinkers in this world. We live in a secular world. So, you know, right now there's only 17 books on the site to read, but the goal is to get more and more kids reading, and even get it to the point, this is a cool feature that was included, is that as a parent, you can add any book in there. You want them to read any book ever written, from the Huck Finn to the Babysitter's Club to Harry Potter, whatever. You can have them read any book, and it will still, because it's using AI, it's still going to be able to understand the context of the book, and it's going to be able to give a book report. The book report is stored, it notifies the parent. If a child is looking at the library list and there's a book that they're interested in, they can click a button, it'll notify mom and dad. Mom and dad can click a button to purchase it from Amazon. When that happens, we get a commission, and it's really shockingly amazing, really shockingly unbelievable and amazing what's been possible. So I gave you this example because this is the software that I built and continuing to build out. I'm very excited about it. It's been very eye-opening to see what's possible. And again, I think that most people, one of the things that was really shocking to me was how well Replit understood design, how well it understood where buttons should go, what contemporary websites look like, where the menus go. It was very intuitive. It was a little bit aggravating at times because sometimes there were like small things that I want to tweak, and you can't drag and drop. You just have to kind of explain it. You can also go in the back end and tweak with the code manually. If you're a software developer, for example, and you are a software engineer and you kind of understand how that works. But it's really unbelievable. And again, I think what's really fascinating about this is the ability to reduce your in-house expenses, because if you're paying for these expensive softwares, you can build, here's what's interesting. Any program that has an API, you can piggyback off of to create new software. So for example, I don't know, if you're using OpenAI, right? You can have OpenAI integrated into, like, so here's another idea that I'm thinking of, being in the marketing world and messaging and email and stuff, is going to a business owner and say, hey, just type in stuff about your business, some various questions about like who your target audience is, what are your core offers, what are your differentiators, etc. And then they answer these questions, and then chat, it sends it in through all these different APIs, like through Grok for deep research, ChatGPT for image generation, for copywriting, aggregates all this data together and then delivers them a report within the app that says, that kind of says, like, these are your threats, these are your opportunities, this is where you should focus. This is here are a bunch of emails that you can send out. Here's an email sequence that you can send out. Here's your funnel structure for marketing. These are the places you should target it, just kind of give a full breakdown, because again, one of the things, and this may sound like, oh, Mark, I could do that. Yeah, it's true, but it's hard to put all those pieces together, I think, as a business owner. And so I just think this would be a handy app, not just for other business owners, but for clients that I'm onboarding. So this is something I've been thinking about. So at any rate, once you've experienced what's possible, you can never go back. And so I say this as a business owner, you should be thinking about, how can I develop software in-house that can reduce my costs and get a better result? Even the CEO of Replit said their HR manager built a software program in a weekend because there was a problem that no other software out there could solve. Boom, solved. So you can think about how to do this in-house. If you're a young person who's thinking about starting up a business, start thinking about surfing. What are some of the bigger problems out there? What's the market cap? Use Grok for deep research. Filter out your ideas. And what's cool is you could bring your idea to market within a few days. I would probably start with something simple that's not trying to do too much. My idea is maybe pretty big, but you know, dream big. So that's why I would think there. And then if you're in the job market just looking for a job, you need to be able to go into that job with this type of knowledge and these types of skills. I was speaking to a guy today at men's group after church, and he had mentioned that, you know, he's ex-military, he's retired from the military, he's looking for a job. He's like, it's just hard for me to find a job. I'm like, my recommendation is that you just play with a tool like this for a week. You're going to start to kind of see how pieces roll together. You're going to start thinking differently, and you're going to stand out because employers are looking for leaders, and they're looking for people that are on the cutting edge of this tech, that they're not just watching videos like this and learning about it, but they're actually tasting it. They're getting in, they're getting their hands dirty. Let me tell you, it doesn't hurt to be watching a video like this, listening to someone who's actually executing. This is definitely going to help because you're going to start thinking differently. But these AI tools are absolutely incredible. Every time I see a piece of software now, all I think is, oh, I could probably build that. It's probably not that hard to build that. I don't need to spend $1,000 a month on that software. I could probably build it. Unbelievable, unbelievable. It's very much a paradigm shift in my mind, and hopefully in yours as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're thinking differently, and I encourage you to stop swimming and start surfing. Go towards the wave. There's a typhoon coming, which is AI. Take your surfboard out and go right towards it, because the opportunities, my friends, are going to be tremendous. And if you're not leaping in now, you're going to be left behind. Anyway, very excited about wordlion.ai. Very excited. Just continue to tweak and play with it. And I think we can change the world for millions and millions of kids, and really enrich their lives in Christian beliefs and Christian morals and Christian worldview, and get them literate, get them reading, get them thinking critically. Because quite frankly, going into this next stage of humanity with deepfakes and AI chatbots and automation, you're going to need to think critically. Because if you're just doing what AI spits out, you're going to be eating rocks, you're going to be putting glue on pizza, which is something that AI has recommended to people. So don't do that. Think critically. All right, I'll catch you next one. All right, peace.